I'm Irene Tichenor, and I came under the sway of Rare Book School through the following means. I was in the Peace Corps trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life when one of my co-volunteers said he had a fiance at home who was in library school. I said, library school? I never thought of that. So I applied to Columbia, and when my 2 years in Jamaica were over, I was a student at the Columbia University School of Library Service. This would have been 1971-72 academic year. That's where I fell in love with the history of printing. And that's where I met Terry Bellinger, who, it was obvious from the beginning, was a force of nature. He had so many ideas, and he just spun them. It made your head dizzy. And he used to say, you can be in 2 places at once, but no, not 3. I'm sure he was in 4 or more places at once at times, because otherwise he couldn't have accomplished everything that he did. He was either tapped or volunteered, maybe it's both, to beef up the rare books part of the offerings of the School of Library Service. And one aspect of that was the Book Arts Press. He discovered somehow that Columbia owned a Washington press and some cases of type. And I don't know the backstory of this, but he managed to get it out of mothballs and installed in one of the rooms on the 5th floor of Butler Library, where the library school was. That enabled students to set type and distribute it and learn about the Timpin and the Frisket and about the mysteries of make-ready. So that was a wonderful addition to the classwork. There were 7 students who took a special fancy to the Book Arts Press. I was one of those 7. And it seemed like nothing was impossible. There were no total impediments to his good ideas. I used to think of him, or I came to think of him eventually as the Mickey Rooney of bibliography. We could set up a series of lectures. We could have a press. We have a press room. We could give 5-day courses taught by specialists in their field. Now, the 7 printers volunteered, or maybe he assigned us, to help staff the press room, so to extend the hours so that students could go in whenever they wanted to. He made, for the printers, aprons. This may have been a Mickey Rooney moment. I don't know whether he had ever touched a sewing machine before or not. Probably not. It wouldn't have mattered. It's exquisitely detailed. He discovered the efficacy of the zigzag, and they're just wonderful. And a perfect color for the press room, although I was careful never to let any ink get on mine. I was never a rare books specialist. I was a history specialist. I went on and got a PhD in history, and the history of printing was my focus. Specifically 19th century New York printing, and specifically Theodore de Vinny. But in Virginia, I took half a dozen courses and a couple in Columbia, and it was just enrichment of my life, really. My favorite thing about Rare Book School at Virginia was staying on the lawn. I could have taken any course and it would have been a religious experience. The week would have been a religious experience. I remember one course was when we were all just learning about GUI, and librarians were on the forefront of trying to use the internet for getting information, but things were changing so fast that they gave a course on the internet, and that was particularly interesting at that time. In fact, we had to move to a different room from our normal classroom to more powerful computers so we could get color. Let me just say, I don't know, maybe everyone knows who these little creatures are. If you Google Book Arts Press, you will get a banner held by these two little guys. And in case anyone doesn't know, they are lions from Columbia, the mascot of Columbia, but they made it to Virginia too. I don't know if they have a name. One of the fundraising things was to start having merch, but Terry always called it the notions department. I thought it was very staid. So here's one from Columbia. It says on the back, Rare Book School, Columbia University School of Library Service, and it shows the lion in a King's College looking kind of crest, because that's when the lion became the mascot of Columbia in 1910, I think. And we all worried when we heard that the school might close. What will happen to the Book Arts Press? But V for Virginia and V for victory, I think. This is 1993. One of the great advantages of Virginia was the amount of space that Terry had to deal with in Alderman. And I can't wait to see what has happened with the renovation. But this enabled the collections to grow. And that is the outstanding thing to me about Rare Book School. Not just the experts who can give the courses, but the material that students can work with. A collection of leathers, collections of papers, actual paper. In fact, this goes back to Columbia. Terry taught the course on illustrations from Bamber Gascon, the sainted Bamber Gascon, in the beginning, and still does, I think. So, but to have all of these materials in such profusion, and just say a 19th century novel in every printing you can get your hands on. Imagine how you can examine it and see what happened over time for those reprints. Well, I think the amazing thing about Rare Book School is how it's kept growing. Not only in the courses, it's just always interesting to see what's being offered, but substations, if you will, in other cities and other institutions. The sky's the limit.